It has come to the time of the year. Snowballs, presents, Christmas, Mariah Carey, and climate summits where world leaders pretend to care about the environment. 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, or COP26, was held in Glasgow from 31st October to 13th November. Interestingly, barely anyone has heard anything about the previous 25 conferences. This year's edition of COP has gained worldwide attention, as experts believe that COP26 has a unique urgency. 5 years ago, the Paris Agreement was born out of COP21, which, you guessed it, was the 21st edition of these climate conferences. World leaders had decided that every 5 years, they return with an updated plan to limit global warming to below 2 degrees. With rising sea levels and melting polar ice caps, tackling climate change has evolved from a fringe issue more than 20 years ago to a pressing concern today. You would think, after an impassioned speech by the Prime Minister of Tuvalu knee-deep in water, world leaders would start taking action on such pressing climate issues. Wrong! COP26 had 3 main goals: to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, stem the problem of deforestation, and limit the usage of coal. Out of these 3 goals, only one was met. More than 100 countries signed a declaration pledging to end deforestation by 2030. Meanwhile, with the promises made at COP26, global temperatures are expected to rise by 2.4 degrees Celsius, which world leaders seem to think is perfectly fine for the environment. Even though more than 40 countries will begin to move away from coal, the dirtiest of fossil fuels, pundits comment that it might be too little too late, owing to the fact that major coal-using countries, China and the US, did not pledge to end the usage of coal in their countries. Despite the seemingly disappointing promises yielded at COP26, China and the US struck a deal, calling for enhanced climate action in the 2020s, with China declaring that it will follow the US's lead in the reduction of methane emissions. More than 130 trillion USD from the private sector has been committed to the transition to net zero emissions by 2050. In conclusion, was COP26 a success, or is it really a failure? All I can say is, with the promises made at the summit, we've made 1 step forward, but 3 steps back.